अस्सलाम वालेकुम एवरीवन। अल्फाज बता नहीं सकते मैं कितना खुश हो रहा हूँ आप सब लोग को इधर देख के। वेदर इट्स योर ऑब्सेशन विद कर्सर और योर क्यूरियोसिटी, वेलकम टू कर्सर पाकिस्तान फर्स्ट इवेंट। तो कम्युनिटी मैप पे मैं आप लोग को थोड़ा एक नजर आप लोग की लाना चाहूंगा। एज यू कैन सी देयर इज अ हैंडफुल ऑफ प्लेसेस जहाँ पे ना दुनिया पे कर्सर इवेंट्स हो रहे। एक्सट्रीमली टैलेंटेड प्रोफेशनल्स आके अपनी प्रेजेंटेशंस करते हैं एंड पाकिस्तान इज वन ऑफ देम, जहाँ पे वी हैव an amazing speaker as well joining us, Zohaib from Antimatter. And अगर if we go to the agenda, चलो एजेंडा से पहले मैं अपने बारे में भी थोड़ा बता देता हूँ। आई एम याया कुरैशी। I am the ambassador for Cursor in Pakistan. I have been tasked to bring Cursor to Pakistan end to end. काफी टाइम से 3 years से मैं कम्युनिटी बिल्डिंग के अंदर रह चुका हूँ। फास्ट डेवलपर्स क्लब अपनी यूनिवर्सिटी में बनाई थी एंड विद द एम टू इनकलकेट दिस बिहेवियर, दिस पैशन इनटू पीपल के भाई बनाना है कुछ, मतलब ना मजे की चीजें बनानी है। ठीक है, रियली पैशनेट अबाउट बिल्डिंग स्टफ, बहुत चीजें बिल्ड की हैं, वी कैन टॉक अबाउट दैट। टेक का बहुत ज्यादा शौक है, कलेक्टिंग गैजेट्स एंड लाइक exploring all the new frameworks that come each week. And yeah, that's about it. We'll talk about myself more when we meet on one-to-one in the networking. Baki, a big thank you to National Incubation Center for the amazing venue. Events में globally usually ऐसा होता है, not only in Cursor events but events worldwide, there's a no-show rate of 50%. तो पाकिस्तान ने वो लॉ को थोड़ा डिफाई कर दिया है, इसलिए आप लोगों को सीटिंग में थोड़ी मसला हो रहा है, लेकिन इट्स एन अमेजिंग वेन्यू। बाकी इफ यू टेक अ लुक एट द एजेंडा, वेलकम और सेटिंग इन तो हो गई और काफी लेट भी हो गए आगे। इंट्रोडक्शंस एंड चिट चैट में मैं उन लोगों को बताऊंगा कि कर्सर है क्या चीज, जिन लोगों को नहीं पता, अपार्ट फ्रॉम द रियली क्रैक सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर्स दैट वी हैव राइट नाउ। उनको तो पता है, लेकिन आई लाइक टू गिव एवरीवन अ डेमो एज वेल। बाकी देन वी हैव अ टेक डेमो। आई ट्राई कि अगर टाइम हुआ हमारे पास तो मैं दिखाऊंगा कि सम ऑफ द वेरी enjoyable things possible with cursor. And then we have a speaker from Antimatter, Zohaib Adnan, जो खुद बताएंगे कि उनकी कंपनी ने कर्सर को अडॉप्ट किया and how it's affected their company. Since many of the guest list देख के यार मैं बड़ा खुश हो रहा था। तालीमाबाद की पूरी अच्छी खासी टीम आई है और एनविजन की पूरी टीम आई है, अच्छे खासे लोग आए हैं, तो उनको भी एडवाइस मिल जाएगी कि what would happen if they incorporate cursor into their processes. एंड देन थोड़ी सी ऑडियंस एंगेजमेंट मैं चाह रहा था कि लाइक ना, मतलब पूरा इंटरैक्टिव सेशन रहे। आई विल मेक एवरीवन स्पीक वेदर यू लाइक इट और नॉट, लेकिन खैर बाकी एट 7 p.m फिक्स शार्प, उसमें डिले नहीं हो सकता। वी हैव अ स्पेशल गेस्ट फ्रॉम एनीस्फीयर। कैन एनीवन टेल एनीस्फीयर क्या है? आपको शर्ट मिलेगी। ठीक है। Anysphere is the parent company of Cursor, a team of extremely talented 50 engineers जिन्होंने $10 billion की वैल्यूएशन पे ले आए हैं and have entirely changed कि किस तरह से coding is going to be done forever. And then 7:20 के बाद खाना पीना, of course, open discussion, food and networking, सब चीज आप लोग के लिए होगी। ठीक है। Baki, what is Cursor for those who don't know? The choice for modern engineering organizations, the best way to build with AI, whatever you want to call it, it is an absolutely amazing thing. Cursor is used by leading development teams to increase productivity, efficiency in how code is written, edited, and reviewed. 88% of not Fortune 500, but Fortune 1000 companies use Cursor. 100,000 enterprises choose Cursor as their IDE of choice, and 1 billion lines of enterprise code written per month with Cursor. Shopify, Replicate, Perplexity, Midjourney, OpenAI जो कि AI बना रहा है, वो भी AI यूज कर रहा है। तो it tells a lot about the power of Cursor. Vercel, Instacart, Ramp, Samsung, so on and so forth. मलिक हाशिर, कोई जूम पे आके वेटिंग रूम में एडमिट कर दे लोगों को। ठीक है। और ये जो जूम की जो विंडो है ना छोटी सी, इसको भी ऊपर कर दो ताकि स्लाइड्स नजर आ जाए, कि उसको मिनिमाइज कर दो। ठीक है। Cursor's Foundation, it's a new approach to the editor. It's an IDE designed for coding with AI. उसका वो पूरा उन्होंने अपना एडिटर बनाया हुआ है, लेकिन people who are familiar with VS Code, they will feel right at home because वो उसका अपना ही fork है. But at the side, you can chat with your own code. You can ask about your own code. You can make it build features with your own code. हम सबकी सबसे favorite चीज. ठीक है? And as I told, Cursor was built on a foundation developers love. It was originally a fork of VS Code, offers you a feature-rich core, और आपकी जितनी भी VS Code पे सेटिंग हुई है, एक्सटेंशंस हैं, जो भी है, वो आप एक क्लिक के साथ उनको इंपोर्ट कर सकते हैं। एंड कोड बेस इंडेक्सिंग इज द मैजिक, जिसमें आपकी कोड की एक एक लाइन को आप उसके बारे में चैट करते हैं। कर्सर नोज अबाउट इट ऑल। कर्सर टैब फील्स लाइक इट्स रीडिंग योर माइंड। आप आगे लाइन लिख रहे होते हैं, आपको कुछ भी जावास्क्रिप्ट की लाइन या कुछ लाइन, आप यू हैव अ लॉजिक कि आपको प्राइसिंग पेज बनाना है, तो आपके पास सजेशन आ जाती है कि प्राइसिंग पेज का पूरा कोड वो आगे लिख देता है जस्ट बाय प्रेसिंग टैब। तो इट्स स्टफ लाइक दैट दैट रियली मेक्स द डिफरेंस। एंड कमांड के आप लाइंस सेलेक्ट करके यू कैन मेक उसी स्पेसिफिक लाइन में आप एडिट्स ला सकते हैं इफ यू वांट टू यूज अ डिफरेंट एल्गोरिथम, अ डिफरेंट अप्रोच, उस तरह से। एंड कर्सर चैट का आई हैव टोल्ड यू अ लॉट बिफोर एज वेल। बाकी कर्सर का एंटरप्राइज डिफरेंस वही सारी सेम चीजें कि लाइक इट मेजर्ड इंक्रीज डेवलपर प्रोडक्टिविटी पावर्ड बाय द इंडस्ट्रीज लीडिंग एआई मॉडल्स। लोग काफी पूछते हैं कि व्हाई नॉट विंडसर्फ या ट्रे एआई। विंडसर्फ वाज रिसेंटली बॉट फॉर ओपन बाय ओपन एआई, और इसका आप लोगों को मतलब पता होगा कि ओपन एआई के अलावा कोई मॉडल उस पर ऑफर नहीं होगा। ट्रे एआई इज फ्री, और जब सब कुछ फ्री होता है यू आर द प्रोडक्ट। ट्रे एआई अपना खुद मॉडल बना के वही आगे डालेगा। कर्सर इज राइट नाउ इज द ओनली जो जिस तरह से आज से इंडिपेंडेंट के एग्नोस्टिक है, वो उसमें इस एक पर्टिकुलर चीज के लिए वो लॉबी नहीं करेगा। You can manage your teams, context aware across your code base, all of that good stuff. बाकी what do the engineering leadership say? Instacart, OpenAI, Intel सब कहते हैं कि like 2x improvement over VS Code Copilot, not over conventional coding, but AI coding offered by Microsoft, VS Code Copilot. Cursor tab की accuracy के बारे में बात हुई है, and Intel के Ryan Carson ने बोला है कि he can knock out huge features in a couple hours max. This is on a big code base. So that's a bit about Cursor. बातों से आप लोग बोर ही हो गए होंगे, लेकिन अब देखना पड़ेगा टाइम इजाजत देता है। बट आई प्लान कि मैं अपना लैपटॉप कनेक्ट करके आई दो ऑप्शन आप लोगों को देता हूँ। यहाँ पे क्या मैं आप लोग के लिए कोई एक ऐसा गेम बनाऊं जो आप लोग आपस में आइस ब्रेकिंग करेंगे, या फिर किसी को पोर्टफोलियो वेबसाइट चाहिए? गेम बनाना है, गेम बनाना है। Give me a bit. I'll take 5 to connect my laptop in front of it connected है। बाकी बात है गेम ही बनाना है। ठीक है। हाँ, गेम। We're very short on time. वैसे 25 minutes में we'll have our speaker joining as well from Anysphere. One उनका नाम है, he's a QA engineer। अच्छे सवाल सोचे, किसी ने ये नहीं पूछना यार कर्सर पाकिस्तान में फ्री क्यों नहीं है। हमने खुद ही फ्रॉड कर करके बंद किया है। तो नॉट जस्ट पाकिस्तान, बाकी मुल्कों ने भी। सिर्फ पाकिस्तान ही इतने बुरे नहीं है, लाइक इट्स अनफॉर्चुनेटली अ थिंग इन दी ह्यूमन साइकी। लेकिन वी विल हैव वन ऑफ द मोस्ट एक्सपीरियंस क्यू इंजीनियर्स इन द वर्ल्ड, जो कि एक ऐसी ऐप जो मिलियंस अक्रॉस द वर्ल्ड यूज करते हैं, वो आके हमारे साथ क्यू एन ए करेंगे। सो कीप योर क्वेश्चंस रेडी।
Recording in progress.
मेरी स्क्रीन को पिन कर दो इफ यू हैव द ऑप्शन टू डू दैट। तो एक काम करो, इसकी शेयरिंग को ना स्टॉप कर दो, तो वो ऑटोमेटिकली आ जाएगा। ठीक है, चलें। आप लोग देख सकते हैं कैसे मैंने स्लाइड्स भी कर्सर के साथ बनाई थी। तो आई स्टार्ट अप अ न्यू प्रोजेक्ट फॉर यू गाइस। ठीक है, एंड यहाँ पे हमारा जिस तरह से VS कोड का हमारा स्क्रीन आती है वही आती है, बट इन द राइट देयर इज अ न्यू चैट ऑप्शन जहाँ पे आप यू कैन चैट विद योर कोड। जी, ठीक है, अब आएगी आवाज। खैर, चलें। आई कीप इट शॉर्ट। कुछ भी आपको कर्सर के साथ बनाना हो, स्पेशली इफ यू नो योर वे अराउंड VS कोड, आपने सबसे पहले वन ऑफ द मोस्ट रिकमेंडेड थिंग्स यू कैन डू राइट इज आप चैट जीपीटी पे जाएं, एंड जो भी आपने बनाना है आप उसको बोले जनरेट मी अ ब्रीफ PRD, अ प्रोजेक्ट रिक्वायरमेंट डॉक्यूमेंट। उसके साथ आपको एक वो कंप्लीट ब्रेकडाउन दे देगा चैट जीपीटी, और कर्सर उसको फॉलो कर करके दे कैन मेक व्हाट यू वांट। तो फॉर एन एग्जांपल, मी, चलो मैं इसको कॉन्टेक्ट दे देता हूँ। आई एम डेमोइंग कर्सर at a meetup. I want to build a icebreaker game. We are short on time, so keep the complexity less. Avoid saying, guys, at local. Give me a brief PRD to give to cursor. ठीक है, और अब वो पूरा पूरा लाइक कर्सर को भी साथ साथ एक्सप्लेन करता रहेगा थ्रू दिस डॉक्यूमेंट कि कॉन्सेप्ट क्या है, ऑब्जेक्टिव क्या है, टेक स्टैक क्या होगा, यूजर फ्लो किस तरह होगा, UI रिक्वायरमेंट किस तरह होगी। नजर नहीं आ रहा, अच्छा इसको कर देते हैं इंटायर विंडो शेयर। जस्ट हाँ, कर सकते थे, कर सकते थे। ठीक है, मुझे कुछ चीज़ें उस गेम की सजेशन में पसंद नहीं आई थी, तो आई सेड के आ, थोड़ा एक डिफरेंट गेम दे। लेकिन नाउ यूल सी कि जैसे कि PRD तैयार होती है किस तरह से हम इसको जनरेट कर सकते हैं। ठीक है, नाउ विल कॉपी दिस, और कर्सर में जाके हम यहाँ पे एक न्यू फाइल करेंगे PRD.md फॉर दोज हु आर फेमिलियर के मार्कडाउन में, और हम यहाँ पे इसको पेस्ट कर देंगे। ठीक है, इसमें अब जैसे इसने एक चीज़ मेंशन नहीं की है कि देयर शुड बी ऑप्शन टू ऐड लेयर्स। ठीक है, तो अब आप कर्सर को बोलेंगे कि मैं वॉइस ही इसमें यूज़ कर लेता हूँ, इफ दैट वर्क्स। टेक अ लुक एट PRD.md and generate this project end to end. Ask me any questions you may have. एंड की स्पेलिंग इसने गलत की है। AI is not taking our jobs clearly. तो ठीक है, अब आप लोग को सोना है, कॉल पे लगना है किसी और के साथ, क्या करना है जो भी, यू कैन डू वट एवर यू वांट। और कर्सर विल ट्राई टू डू द जॉब। क्या पता फर्स्ट ट्राई में एरर दे, बिल्कुल ब्लैंक स्क्रीन दे, लेकिन क्या पता एक फंक्शनल और वर्किंग एप्लीकेशन दे। हाँ। आई विश इसमें जूम इन। हाँ हाँ सर, थैंक यू। ठीक है। पूरा देखे इसने शुरू होते ही 150 लाइंस, 155 लाइंस ऑफ कोड। खैर ये तो बहुत ही मिनिमल हेलो वर्ल्ड एग्जांपल है। आई विश हम लोग ज्यादा कॉम्प्लेक्स चीज दिखा सकते हैं, लेकिन टाइम लिमिटेशन काफी मसला करेगी, तो आई वेंट विद अ सिंपल एग्जांपल। और मे भी मुझे लग रहा है शायद इंटरनेट हमारा साथ नहीं देगा, बट होपफुली यू गाइस गेट द आइडिया। आई थिंक दिस इज टेकिंग थोड़ा ज्यादा टाइम ले रहा है। ओके नेवर माइंड। 653 लाइंस, ओके, पूरी की पूरी सीएसएस लिख दी। बट इफ दिस 10 थोड़ा ज्यादा टाइम लेता है, तो मैंने यही सेम प्रॉम्प्ट के साथ गेम बना के रखा हुआ है, उसको डिप्लॉय करना भूल गया, लेकिन वी कुड हैव शोन दैट एज वेल। कंबाइनिंग कर्सर, सुपरबेस एंड वर्सल, आप पूरी एप्लीकेशंस डिप्लॉय कर सकते हो टू द पॉइंट के इस हॉल में जितने भी लोग हैं वो सारे अपने फोन्स पे उसके साथ इंटरेक्ट भी कर सकते हैं। वर्सल पे होस्टिंग इज वेरी लाइक वन क्लिक की होती है, आप पूरा अपने गिटहब रिपो कनेक्ट करते हो उसमें साथ में, एंड यू जस्ट क्लिक ऑन डिप्लॉय और पूरा आगे वो टेक्स इट फ्रॉम देयर। इसको साथ में भी ना एक न्यू विंडो में वो भी खोल के रख लेते हैं। हम्म। अच्छा, so since the other project is taking a bit of time, I've loaded the previous project as well, जो कि मैंने बना के रखा था, and this is what it made in two prompts। कि आप अपना ग्रुप का नाम रखेंगे, और जैसे ग्रुप का नाम हम तालीम में बात रखेंगे। आई होप आप लोग गेम खेलेंगे। आई डिप्लॉय इट एज वेल। और मशहूद अली, रैंडम नाम डालूंगा सारे। तो यहाँ पे आपके पास एज यू कैन सी पूरा का पूरा उसने यहाँ पे ग्रुप का नाम भी आ रहा है आपको इस तरह से। यू कैन प्ले द गेम्स, शेयर सम laughs, गेट टू नो स्टफ अबाउट ईच अदर, एंड इस तरह से इट्स अ वेरी फन प्रूफ ऑफ कॉन्सेप्ट के कर्सर ने 5 से 10 मिनट के अंदर क्या चीज बना के दे दी। ट्रस्ट मी, लाइक कुछ भी नहीं है ये। इट्स द मोस्ट बेसिक एग्जांपल आई कुड हैव गिवन। क्या कह रहे हो? पबजी में फिर ना आपको 3D भी तो बनानी होगी, 3D का भी है यूज करना पड़ेगा, बाकी मॉडल्स भी डिजाइन करने पड़ेंगे, लेकिन गुड आइडिया। एक पॉइंट ऐसा आएगा बना पाएंगे। और एज यू कैन सी इसमें वन ऑफ माय फेवरेट फीचर्स ये कि पूरा इट्स कंप्लीटली मोबाइल रिस्पॉन्सिव एज वेल। शुरू में इसने पहले प्रॉम्प्ट में नहीं दिया था, दूसरा प्रॉम्प्ट पे इसको बस एक देना पड़ा था कि मेक इट मोबाइल रिस्पॉन्सिव, एंड दैट हैपेंड एज वेल। मैं इसको, चलें इसको डिप्लॉय का बाद में देख लेंगे, लाइक a few minutes when I get to set as well, तो मैं कर दूंगा, एंड you'll be able to play it in the networking session। लेकिन आई थिंक आप लोग को आइडिया हो गया है कि कर्सर, यहाँ पे इंटरनेट साथ नहीं दे रहा है, लेकिन आई एम ग्लैड एक एग्जांपल रेडी थी। कर्सर किस चीज़ के लिए केपेबल है? आई थिंक वी हैव अ लॉट ऑफ एग्जांपल्स इन द ऑडियंस एज वेल। ऐसे ऐसे लोगों ने रजिस्टर किया था कि जब मैंने उसमें क्वेश्चन डाला था रजिस्ट्रेशन में कि कैन यू गिव अ डेमो, वुड यू लाइक टू शेयर योर लर्निंग, लोगों ने लिखा हुआ है आई विल टीच हाउ टू बिल्ड अ रेवेन्यू जनरेटिंग SaaS in 1 hour यूजिंग कर्सर। बोला सही है यार, मतलब बेहतरीन, लाइक इट्स एब्सोल्युटली इनसेन टू सी किस लेवल के लोग हैं. लेकिन many of you here are very practical people and I'm really glad to see that पूरी पूरी engineering teams उठ के आई हैं, और इसीलिए खाना आ गया यार, आप लोग के लिए खुश होने की बात है. तो ठीक है, नाउ आई वुड लाइक टू कॉल जोहेब अदनान, जो कि अपना एक्सपीरियंस शेयर करेंगे with how Cursor has completely changed the processes at Antimatter. A huge round of applause, please. ठीक ठीक है.
Assalamu alaikum. Wow, so many faces. This is really nice. Uh, I always think Pakistan, we have so much talent. We're very hardworking people. Again, I think it's just lack of exposure to the right guidance, right technologies. So I'm really happy to see that, kudos to Yaya for actually organizing this. Really happy to see that, we finally have some community building in Pakistan as well. Anyhow, a quick intro. My name is Zohaib. I'm a backend engineer at Antimatter. I also oversee a couple of projects. और मैंने इन लोगों को probably 2 साल पहले join किया था, and back then on the very first day we had access to, I remember, GitHub Copilot. Very early stage. उस वक्त I still recall I was doing very simple CRUD, and even then Copilot was able to make some of that very easy for me. जो repetitive काम होता है, if you work with Node.js, you guys know that making API endpoints it's boring work, tedious work. So मैं Copilot को basically use कर रहा था, so I could focus on the business logic. Soon after that, we had all of these AI tools basically start popping up. Cursor हो गया, क्या कहते हैं, Windsurf हो गया. The reason that some of us engineers decided to try Cursor out ourselves is basically the same reason that Yaya was talking about, where it's an open source fork of VS Code. So जो मेरा VS Code setup है, it's customized. I think probably too much. I have way too many themes, way too many extensions, key bindings, all of that. So it just made sense कि जो है ना मैं cursor में सारा कुछ import करके ले आऊँ. And that's basically how it all began. शुरू में I still recall कि it was a pretty big jump over something like Copilot, because having that context is very important, where Cursor knows everything about your code base. That's I think the real kind of standout feature back then. Models were not too capable back then. We didn't really have reasoning models back then. Again, it was still a very huge jump. The issue that we had at Antimatter specifically, we're a services company, by the way, so we work with everything from AI agents to blockchain to automation with no code tools. And since we're a services company, we have projects come in and go out. A project आया, something happens, and maybe when आया, project goes away. And the issue is we had too many engineers on our bench who were not really actively on any project. The solution for that was then to have engineers on multiple projects. But of course, you can't do that with traditional engineering methods. And so we decided, okay, let's experiment with Cursor. Let's see how far we can actually go with it. At this point in time, we don't really have a bench anymore. हम लोग जो है वो, as projects come in, we have engineers working on multiple projects. I mean, I think Rao is also on your or two or three projects probably. I'm also on like 2 or 3 projects. So we're able to push. We have that bandwidth at this point, and it's not just simple bug fixes. With reasoning models, we're pretty much doing everything from simple bug fixes, of course, stupid mistakes, we all make those. Again, discovery is something that जो बहुत आसान हो गई है. Traditional method क्या था कि नई code base है, very bloated. आपने एक endpoint देखा, you start following function A, function B call कर रहा है, function B, function C, keeps going. And in your head, you're maintaining this virtual stack, which is very annoying. It's very difficult to do. With something like this, that process is, I think, completely replaced, at least for us. At least for us. Codebase Kohli asked Cursor, okay, yaar, this is what I'm trying to do. I want you to give me a detailed breakdown of what the data and logic flow looks like. And within a couple of minutes, you're up and running. You can actually focus on whatever it is you need to do instead of trying to figure out how things are working. The second is actually building features. So pretty much a very similar process to what Yaya was showing here. I remember we were working on an open source agent framework called Eliza OS. Basically, it's kind of a framework that lets you, spin up agents. Also, because in kind of very early stages. और हमारे clients का जो है वो एक requirement ये थी कि we want agents that can autonomously tweet and reply. So basically tweets भी खुद लिखें, generate करें, and then reply to mentions, reply to kind of engage with the community on Twitter as well. Liza OS के ऊपर मसला ये था कि it was built with the assumption कि only one person would use it. You could only, connect one Twitter account to it. And we were essentially kind of working on top of it. So this would taken us, I think normally if we were working on it, we didn't have any AI tools, it would have taken us, a couple of, maybe a week or two at least. With Cursor, it was pretty simple. Just give it your instructions, ko bataya, yeah, this is what we're trying to do. These are the files that are relevant for you. And then we asked her, okay, we want you to list your thinking process and then ask any questions. वो सारा process किया, 2-3 दफा iterate किया, and before we knew it, in a couple of hours, we actually had something fully functional, which we were eventually able to deploy to production. So I think the pace at which we're now able to develop, the fact that we have multiple engineers working on multiple projects, that has really helped us become more efficient as time has gone on. It is worth saying, I think बहुत से लोग ये कह रहे हैं कि the concerns around vibe coding, and I think those are valid concerns. I don't think having AI tools is an excuse for not knowing the fundamentals. अगर किसी को databases के fundamentals नहीं पता, तो they won't know when to ask Cursor to use transactions, in a code base. So I don't think it's an excuse to not understand the fundamentals. Lekin for engineers that understand the fundamentals really well, they can really kind of use and abuse tools like Cursor and really kind of make the most out of it. So again, kudos to Yaya. I'm really looking forward to the workshops that we have in the future. And I'm really glad to see a lot of faces here. And hopefully, it's again, we need more communities. We need more stuff like this in Pakistan. Because I can tell you, US में, in the West, in Europe, this is very common. Pakistan's still catching up. Our neighbors are doing a pretty good job at it as well. We're not. So it's really, really, really glad to see this. Thank you for having me.
थैंक यू सो मच जोहेब. बाकी आप अपना नाम बता सकते हैं? जाहिद जी. जाहिद साहब ने भी हमें यही बात बताई कि मैंने ना थोड़ी अनरियलिस्टिक एग्जांपल दिखा दी थी कि यू जस्ट टेल कर्सन एंड आपको ना बता देते कि लाइक किस तरह से वो पूरी आपको चीज़ बना के दे देगा. बट पूरा आपको अपनी उसको अप्रोच समझानी होती है, यानी आपको ना अपने साथ लेके चलना होता है. ऐसा नहीं होता कि लाइक यू जस्ट मैजिकली आप उसको बताते हो और वो पूरा आपको करके दे देता है. तो एज वी मेंशन, उसी तरह से एक डिटेल्ड अप्रोच से लेके पूरी एक प्रॉपर अप्रोच लेके दे आर एबल टू इम्प्रूव द प्रोसेसेस एट देयर कंपनी सिग्निफिकेंटली. और आप भी अपनी पर्सनल कैपेसिटी में, अपनी कंपनी की कैपेसिटी में, यू कैन डू अ लॉट. द स्काई इज द लिमिट, आइड से. वन मेरी एक रिकमेंडेशन यही होगी, अब जैसे कि मैंने खुद iOS डेव वाज समथिंग जो मैंने ना टच की होगी बैक इन लाइक 2017, और 2025 में आई हैड टू वर्क ऑन अ प्रोजेक्ट अगेन. मैंने उसको कर्सर पर ट्राई करने की कोशिश की, मुझसे अब वो आगे पीछे जो चीज़ें रिटर्न कर रहा हूँ वो मुझे समझ नहीं आ रही थी. 2 हफ्ते मैंने कोर्स किया, बहुत पुराना, लाइक 14 आवर्स अ डे करके ना उसको सीख के, पूरा ग्राइंड करके सारे फंडामेंटल सीखे. उसके बाद इट फेल्ट लाइक मैजिक, इट फेल्ट लाइक अ सेकंड ब्रेन, एंड आई मेड लाइक 3 iOS एप्स उसके बाद से. एंड उस तरह से ना लाइक देयर इज मलिक इन द बैक एज वेल, जो कि आई फील लाइक Malik is one of those kids जिनको ना मतलब one of the reasons why I became a Cursor ambassador is because of how obsessed I am with it. कितना ज़्यादा impressed हुआ हूँ. और मलिक मुझे जब भी यूनिवर्सिटी में नजर आता था ना, उसको मैं पकड़ के जोड़ता था कि भाई ये नया फीचर आया है, ये नया मॉडल आया है, ये किस तरह से आगे लेके जा रहे हैं चीज़ों को, कितनी आसानी से लाइक हम लोग की चीज़ें चेंज होती जा रही हैं. एंड मलिक खुद आके एग्जाम्पल दे सकता है. इफ यू वांट टू कम ऑन स्टेज यू कैन. वी हैव, क्या टाइम हो रहा है अभी? Yeah, we have 5 more minutes before one from AnySpare joins us, and we can have a Q&A with him as well. लेकिन फॉर एग्जांपल फास्ट की एक ऐप है ऑन एंड्रॉयड, रगड़ा. काफ़ी वो फिटिंग नाम है वो, लेकिन इट्स फ्रंट एंड फॉर मोबाइल. तो उसमें ना एडमिट कार्ड डाउनलोड करने का फीचर नहीं था. मलिक ने पीछे बैठा हुआ वो एंड्रॉयड स्टूडियो को हाथ नहीं लगाया जिंदगी में. एंड्रॉयड स्टूडियो की थोड़ी सी फंडामेंटल समझी और उसमें अपना वो फीचर ऐड किया कि एडमिट कार्ड जो उसमें आया हुआ है, लोड हुआ हुआ है, वो डाउनलोड भी हो जाए. एंड वो खुद उसने पूरा एक प्रॉपर फीचर बना के गिटहब पे पीआर ओपन करके उसको मर्ज करके ही कंट्रीब्यूटेड टू हिज ओन ओपन सोर्स ऐप. पहली कंट्रीब्यूशन की, एंड इट्स यूज्ड बाय हंड्रेड्स ऑफ फास्ट स्टूडेंट्स. तो इस बात पे खुद ही अपलॉज रहना चाहिए। तो पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ कर्सर लाइक इसी तरह में ना, people can go on and on about this crowd में। I know there's powerhouses, I think many, कुछ थोड़े लोग नहीं आ पाए, but there's Sir Saad here as well, one of my favorite people, one of my favorite teachers। इनका खुद influence बहुत ज़्यादा रहा है कि on how cursor can change things in the industry, and in his own organization भी इन्होंने adopt किया हुआ है, and MVP अब ऐसे ही हो गया है। इनके साथ भी इन्होंने मुझे यूनिवर्सिटी में लास्ट सेमेस्टर को कोर्स पढ़ाया था, AI फॉर प्रोडक्ट डेवलपमेंट। तो एक ऐसा आइडिया जो मैं तकरीबन 2020 से लेके चल रहा हूँ ना, बट आई कुड नॉट अंडरस्टैंड हाउ डू आई टेक आउट द टाइम फॉर इट, और आई डिड नॉट हैव द बैंडविड्थ फॉर इट एट ऑल। वो मैंने इनके कोर्स के लिए ही मोटिवेटेड मी, और मैंने 4 घंटे के अंदर इन जस्ट अंडर 4 hours आई मेड अ फुल MVP, गॉट हंड्रेड्स ऑफ यूजर्स ऑन इट। फॉर कॉन्टेक्स्ट इट्स वो ऐप ये करता है कि आपकी व्हाट्सएप का चैट डाटा लेता है, वेरी कंट्रोवर्शियल आई नो, और आपको आपके दोस्त के साथ जो आपके टॉप यूज्ड वर्ड है, टॉप यूज्ड इमोजीज हैं, वो आपको लाके दिखा देता है। यू कैन इमेजिन द रिजल्ट। I'll share it in the group as well, and we have one with us as well. Hey Juan, Ashir, can you please make sure that we can see him as well? You can stop sharing the screen. Pin his screen on Zoom as well. Hey Juan, am I audible to you?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. Can you guys hear me?
Okay, that's amazing. Yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Thank you so much for joining on the 4th of July. I know it's a holiday for the team, but thank you so, so much.
No, thanks for inviting me. I love doing this, so no problem.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, go on.
No, thanks for inviting me. I'm very excited to be here. My name is Juan. For anyone that doesn't know me, I work for Cursor. I worked for 5 months now. I work as a QA engineer. My basically my job is I have two jobs. I have to manually test new features in Coursera and making sure that you guys receive the best product you can receive. So every bug you see in the product is basically my fault because I didn't cut it. And then the second part of my job is to build automation systems that test Cursor on CI, right? So I code um, different TypeScript files using Playwright that test the product and make sure that we don't break anything when we merge new changes into the product. That's my story. That's my job. Sorry, and my story is I started working in January at Cursor. Basically, I went back and forth with our CEO, and he's a very enthusiastic man, and yeah, and I started working because I love the product. I was using the product to code myself, and I sent them an email saying I love the product, and I really wanted to work with them, and we went back and forth, and I started working at Cursor.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing, Juan. And audience, as you can see, I've pointed the camera towards you. Say hi to Juan. As you can see, you can clearly see how introverted everyone in computer science is usually. But
Yeah.
thank you so, so much for the wonderful introduction. And I guess we can get started with the Q&A. Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions for Juan? Okay, for sure.
Hello, everyone. So my question is, you won't be able to see me, you just be able to hear me. My question is that what I've noticed is that we very frequently get releases from Cursor. And I haven't gone into the details of what's new, but it sometimes makes me kind of uncomfortable that are we breaking something? Are we making something new? So how do you manage the customer side of things primarily? In terms of, I know it's maybe not the right question for your field specifically, and obviously from the QA perspective, but this expectation management thing, there is something new that's coming out, that's part of the process. How is that being dealt with from the customer perspective specifically? So any thoughts are welcome.
Sorry, any thoughts about What do you mean by customer perspective?
So it's kind of unsettling. Let me call it in that way. It's kind of unsettling. Every time I open cursor, there's a new update. So I have to
Okay.
think, I have to compute that, okay, should I or shouldn't I, or what's going new? And should I read every time that what's new? And so that's actually the question. So there's any specific reason for that? That's one perspective, or the other perspective to answer is that how do you deal with the customers and their concerns, I'd say.
Okay, yeah, I think I understand. It's also confusing for me too. We have so many updates, right? And I work right there, right? And then I'm the first person that see all the features that are coming out, and especially we've been shipping updates so frequently. I think that I also don't like that aspect. Is very confusing, very challenging to be up to date with each update. The real reason we are doing that is that we have competition with, of course, with Cloud Code, with Windsurf, CodeRabbit, Codex, you name it. Everyone is doing something, and we are at the top of everything. So that said, we like, for example, now we release our web agent, right? Our web background agent that you can use on your phone, and this has been like a requirement from the users from like almost a month now, right? Um, and I think that the biggest reason we are doing that is that we have lots of competition, and we have to be really quick and ship these updates. And my recommendation is, if you want to stay on top of what happens and how to deal with it, uh, I recommend to follow the employees in X at Cursor, that we are always talking about the new shipments, the new not only what's already out. We are also spoiling things where we are going to publish in the next weeks, right? So if you follow us and you read the documentation, you can stay up to date with everything, right? I think that's it, the best way to deal with this right now. I hope I answered your question.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Juan. We have another question.
Hi, this is Zahid. I'm working on Cursor last 7 months, and in early days, I can imagine how difficulties was there. Like it replaced the code everywhere, and I'm very pleased to see you the rapidly uh, enhancing your cursor. No, it's really like when you select the files and you can go into specific files to instruct the constructor, and you are doing really good job. The only issue, I'm the Ubuntu user, and all in our office, everyone is using Ubuntu. But in Ubuntu, on every update, it takes a while updating it because Ubuntu have a major issue. You don't provide a installable version. We have to do it manually, installing it. I think you got it on Linux Ubuntu.
Yes, I especially test in three platforms, right? So Mac, Windows, and Linux. So yeah, that's pretty annoying in Linux, to be honest. We have that issue that is a bit slow in that area, but we're working on it. I'm not sure if I understood the question. What's the question?
The Ubuntu on Ubuntu, we are unable to install it properly. Like we have to install no sandbox when we
Okay.
make a, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely in the works. You should see it in the next probably 2 months or so. Linux has definitely been an issue in that way. It's pretty annoying for myself. Uh, Honestly, Linux is the platform I test the least. Not because I don't have to test Linux. It's just that it's so painful to watch Linux in that sense. So yeah, we hear you. We're working on it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Juan. We have another question.
Hello, I have a question that do you have any documentation or endpoints available if someone want to automate cursor? I have a use case in which I wanted an AI agent, so I thought instead of building an AI agent itself, I can use cursor to automate it. Like I have my own agent. That agent will be able to communicate with Cursor to do something. You guys may have any MCP or something, anything or any documentation that we can look into it in order to automate it.
Currently, we don't have API endpoints to work with outside of Cursor. We also don't have an MCP tool. Um, but I can tell you that that's definitely on our minds. We'll probably ship it around sometime around this year. Though I don't have concrete information around this. I just talked about this like 1 or 2 months ago. But right now we are shipping so many things so fast, like that we haven't focused on doing something like API endpoints that people can use outside of Cursor, right? But I'm almost sure that that's definitely coming in the future.
By the way, we have a solution, like it's called a Jugaad in Pakistan. Would love to discuss that with you later on this cursor automation.
Cursor automation, yeah, that would be great. Maybe you can talk to me through LinkedIn or something. I'm available in LinkedIn.
Okay, so my question is, whenever I have a conversation with like an experienced software engineer or a developer, their main concern is that, okay, Cursor is really good for making MVPs, but we cannot make like scalable apps that has um, thousands of users using it with Cursor. So what's your perspective on that? How can we use Cursor to build scalable apps that can be used by thousands of users and also generate revenue on that?
Okay, great. That's actually a great question. Um, I think it's a question that comes in two forms. The first one, the first thing I want to say is that Cursor is not like a tool like Lovable, for example, where you can send a prompt and it will build the whole app. I mean, it can do that. It does a very good job at that. But Cursor is for professional developers. That's our audience, right? So Cursor is to building really like real apps and scalable and especially for startups and everything. So the way to use Cursor is to understand what you're building, right? You're the creative mind behind this, right? The all the automatic code generation is going to be done by the agent. So your job is to understand what you're building, understand your market, understand all the tech stack you're using to build something, right? And just guide through the agent on what it needs to do. Um, so my basic, my honestly, my only advice is that when you're building something, make sure to understand the whole documentation you're using and just guide the agent through it, right? And in that way, you can ship really fast. Like I tried both ways. I tried to barely look at the code and just say to the agents, build me an app that does this. And that generally doesn't generate a good result, right? Because if you ask like a vague question or a vague request, the agent is going to give you like an average answer, right? Because the agent has all the information from the internet and it's very good at giving average, right? But it's if you talk about specific about okay, I want to do this in Firebase because of this, or I want to do this in Amazon Web Services because of this, or in Svelte or in React because it has this particular thing in performance, for example. If you really know your stack, the agency is really good at generating the code for you, if you understand.
That's an amazing insight, and I will make sure to like implement it next time when I'm building with Cursor. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks.
Okay, so I have another question. Any sneak peeks you can give for any upcoming features? Anything exciting you'd like to share with us, seeing as you get to see all of that?
Uh, I can't talk because we just
Anything you can share, actually. Not, I know there's stuff that's confidential. I get that.
Yeah. Absolutely. what I can talk about is basically around the things we have already shipped and what enhancement are going to bring with it. We are just starting with the features for 1.3. 1.3 is coming really soon. It's going to be a huge update for you guys. I think it's going to be awesome. And for what we have right now, we just released our web agent. We just released the mobile version of Cursor, which is awesome. I think yesterday I was doing my warm up in the gym and I created a whole new feature while doing some sit-ups. Um, and it's been awesome. And what we are doing right now, it's around that area that's going to come soon, is that we are enhancing the UI in the mobile, right? Because I personally believe we shipped it really fast, the mobile version, and I think the UI still needs some work. It still needs to be a bit more intuitive, right? Of course, we have a great MVP to start with, but I think you can expect for the next few weeks to really the UI um, side of things to change, to improve, especially around background agent, the mobile version, and the to-do list in the when you talk to the agent. So yeah, I, I think that's everything I can say for now.
I'd love to see it. I do have another question, actually.
Sure.
How are you going to balance the fact that a lot of people believe that developers will be replaced by AI? I understand that Cursor is very developer focused, but do
Hmm.
you see any chance of, that being a threat to developers?
No, I don't think so. I think that I'm not in like all the people that say that developers are going to be replaced by AI are people that are not in the industry so much, right? That's the reality. Uh, I mean, the software engineer has never been like like a coder itself. It's the major contribution of the software engineer. It's the creativeness. In like at the end in the end of the story, we are like artists, right? We need to think to fix problems. The AI is not very good at creative work, right? It's not very good at solving things that require thinking, right? So I think the role of the software engineer is going to evolve. I don't know what name is going to have, right? But it's definitely not going to be like a coder or something. The software engineer will like most likely evolve into something like a product manager, right? That understands the code. But don't get confused that if the fact that right now we have so good AI that it can build code, it can build code. It doesn't mean that we have to stop learning about coding or reading documentation, right? I would argue that quite the contrary. We need to read more documentation more than ever because right now we have the time to read, right? And let the AI do the generative coding work. Um, so I think right now it's a great moment in time to understand as much as possible in terms of documentation, understand all of the frameworks that are out there, like understand React, understand Svelte, understand Flutter, Node.js, understand everything, right? Because you don't have to code, you just have to understand it. If you understand it, you know what's available out there to work and to build great stuff, right? And it, when you know what tools you have out there to play with, you know how to instruct the AI on what to build. So I think that's going to be the new role of the engineer. The engineer is going to be more of a manager, and the AI is more like a really good junior developer.
Okay, thank you for that.
Hello. I would like to reiterate one of the questions asked before that you have been introducing a lot of updates recently in the model that has been evolving lately. So how would you manage the user trust and the product stability, because there are so many evolving models all around that exists, because it's, even if it's a code, people go all around, there are other AIs existing, then why do we have to choose exactly Cursor? So I would like to you shed light a bit on it just.
Why to choose Cursor, right? Well, the main reason to choose Cursor is that right now Cursor is the best option available uh, to integrate into your workflow. If you're a professional developer, how did we used to like to work? We open VS Code, we create a GitHub repo and work on it on VS Code, right? So Cursor is basically the same as VS Code with AI capabilities. So I think our strongest selling point, let's say, is that we are already integrated into your workflow. So let's say Cloud Code, for example. Try to create something with Cloud Code. I mean, it's a complete different perspective. You have to change your mind in order to use Cloud Code, which is great. I'm not criticizing Cloud Code in the sense of I don't like it. I actually like Cloud Code, but it's a different thing, right? It doesn't integrate into my workflow. It takes um energy from my side to understand how to use Cloud Code and how to like connect it with my mind. It's not the same, right? Then we also have Windsurf, which you can say Windsurf. It's another VS Code fork, and it already integrates into your workflow, but it has less AI capabilities, right? So I think in that sense, in terms of AI capabilities and workflow, I think Cursor has the best option out there. It's really good. It's very good for people that already have an existing project and want to still build on it, but with AI capabilities. It's great. Then you can also use Cloud Code. Why not? But Cloud Code it's different. It requires a shift in the mindset of how we do things. It's not like VS Code. So yeah, I think that's our strongest point.
Thank you so much. I will look really forward to the oncoming updates. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Okay, Juan, would you mind going for 10 more minutes? We have a lot more questions. I'll try to wrap it up in 10 more minutes.
Yeah, sure. Let's go.
Okay, for sure. Thank you so much.
Hello, Juan. So my question is regarding the code privacy. I was recently coding with Cursor, and if you just go on GitHub and search about OpenAI keys, so you'll see that people who are doing vibe coding by mistake push their production keys on their public repository, right? So in Cursor, if you start using our secret keys just for the sake of testing purposes, it start recommending you in your Cursor tab feature. So what's your take on this? That should we like care about it, or we should not worry about it at all? What's the take on this?
What's my take on what to do? You mean like with your secrets, like variables?
Yeah, exactly. So majorly the secrets that are even sitting in your env files, Cursor can still access it.
Okay. Like you mean it can't access it, right? It shouldn't access it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's a bit tricky because we don't have access to it, so it's very it's very hard to the agent to do the whole work, right? What I usually do is just I've spaced the secrets into the chat of the agent, right? If he has maybe it has to test something and whatever. Then for background agent, which is this new thing that's going to be bigger and bigger, and I'm almost sure that most of you is going to really use that thing. We have a part where you can put the secrets, right? You have the steps in setting up background agent. There's a step that says secrets, and you can set up environment variables there for the agent to use. But that's just for the background agent. We don't have like a straight to the point solution for the chat agent. But in terms of privacy, of course, we don't keep that, right? We don't like I see the source code every day, and I can assure you that we don't keep those things. Well, we don't have way to do it because the agent doesn't have access, and the background agent doesn't do it. So yeah, did that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm Mujib from Talimabad. So my question is, while testing the cursor features, so to wrote those test cases are written by cursor itself or you guys?
Wait, what test cases you mean?
So when we wrote test cases to test the any software features, so in cursor case, are those test features are written by you guys or itself the cursor?
You mean if our test cases are written? Ah, okay, I understand. Sorry. No, I understand. Um, and yeah, that's actually very particular to me because I write those features, right? No, it's a mix. Honestly, like I try to let the agent to do as much as it can. I try not to touch code, right? I just, look at it and review it and maybe change something minimal. But in the like test cases are really straightforward. It doesn't require much creative work. So yeah, I try to let the agent do what it does. Like Cursor, there's this thing that Cursor is made with Cursor, right? We use Cursor to make Cursor. So um, actually, if you think about it, it's the best way to test your product. You test it yourself to see if it's useful or not. And that's one of the reasons we make so much shipments. It's because we are building Cursor and we say, hey, it would be nice to um, to have this feature maybe to help me to code this part or to do this, and we build it, we try it ourselves, and if we like it, we ship it. But going back to your original question, yeah, of course we use Cursor to build test cases.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Shazib, and I have a question about the MCP feature that you've integrated into the cursor, specifically about the tool limits that we face in the MCP server. So, as a backend developer, you would write APIs in the code, and then you would use some other tools like a Postman specifically for testing, right? And if you talk about the front end, you would be using the browser dev tools. Uh, for to interact with those interact with those tools like the Postman and the browser, we need MCPs. One MCP server that I tried to use with Postman for Postman, uh, it it was having a tool limit, like the number of tools in the MCP server were more than the limit you allow, and that is a major blocker. That that is the only blocker that I've faced yet. When I'm using the MCP servers, and I've not used MCP servers much, but this is, I think, uh, a very basic thing that we need to clear out. Because otherwise you're not always writing code. You need to verify that the code is working also. So that is my question. If you would be uh, clearing that blocker out soon, or is that not currently on the list and you're just focusing on the on making the cursor and dev experience better? The second question is that the use of debugger. Uh, we know that the cursor can now interact with the terminal integrated with the VS Code, right? Uh, would it be able to use the debugger as well? Because that would be a huge plus for us as developers, because it does suggest putting logs and some suggestions to debug the code. But if it is able to interact with the debugger itself and ask for permission that it wants to add debug breakpoints somewhere, and does it by itself, so that would be a huge plus. Would that be something that you would be doing in near future? These two questions. Thank you.
Okay, let's start with the first one. You talked about a lot about the tool usage, the limitation of the tool calling, right? Um, I think that in the future, and I'm not like, don't take my word for it, like I'm not 100% sure of it, but I think we are going to make like the tool calling limitation to be determined by the end user, right? The way we are, the reason we are right now just leaving it at, I think it's 25 tool calls, is that all of this is very experimental, right? So, and lots of folks maybe blame us when a tool call doesn't, that is not the one that they're expecting, right? So we are very careful with that. And one of the reasons we put that limit in 25 is to avoid these issues, right? That to give to the user more control. But we are going to increase this in the future as the agent, as the models evolve in their reasoning. The second reason we put that limit is that we don't want to cause infinite loops. So we have to put a limit. There must be a limit somewhere, right? Because if you don't put a limit, maybe the agent starts hallucinating and looping between tool calls. So we had to do that, right? But I'm expecting that in the future we are going to. I'm not sure. I'm not confident to say we're going to remove the limit, but I think we're going to let the end user to choose what's the limit. And the second question, sorry, can you repeat about the viewing?
The second question was about the debugger. Would it be able to access the agent? Would it be able to access the debugger and debug our code itself? But a bit about the first question. I think you misunderstood the first question. My question was not about the tool call, but rather
Okay,
the
sorry.
but rather the number of tools an MCP server can support. So, for example, I was using this Postman MCP server and it had 100 tools.
Mm. Okay, now I
So
understand.
I wasn't even able to use the AI chat with that turned on. The MCP server, when it was turned on, I wasn't even able to use the AI chat with that.
Okay, yeah, and I understand. You're talking about the number of tools an MCP has, right?
Yes,
Honestly,
yes.
like I didn't even know there was a limit for that. Because the tools, my MCP tools I have to check how many tools my maximum MCP has. But um, if there's a limit, the limit around the tools is that, because how does an agent work, right? If you read the OpenAI documentation, maybe you know this, but basically for each tool we had to give a huge amount of context for the agent to understand in which moment to use it. So each tool is more information. It's not only like the tool, like just the function, the name. It's also a thing, like the thing like describing the tool, describing the parameters that the tool receive, everything. And it's this huge chunk of code that we have to send over to the AI. So there's a limit of the amount of information we can send to the model in the server, right? OpenAI or Anthropic, whatever. So I think there is a limitation there. I think that, to be honest, the infrastructure of AI itself, not in Cursor, but in OpenAI or in Anthropic, the infrastructure to receive requests, both in the connection between our server and OpenAI server, and in OpenAI itself, it's very limited for our needs right now. I was talking about this, like, I think a week ago, that the world is not prepared for the infrastructure AI needs. And this is one of the consequences, right? We want to have an MCP tool that has an MCP server that has like, I don't know, like, let's say 200 tools. And for now, that's not even possible, right? So yeah, that's a limitation. Not something we can work on right now, to be honest. That's something I think it would be solved when the infrastructure of the whole ecosystem evolves. Did now I answer the question or no?
Yeah, you did. I just have a follow-up question for that. Um, act- okay, I think the time's up. So yeah,
Oh, sorry.
thank
I
you.
like
Thank you
to
so much for your answer, Adre.
I like to
So
chat.
we have
Sorry.
room for like
My fault.
one last question. Does anyone have? Okay, I think that's it. Thank you so much, Juan.
It was very good.
Okay,
Thank you for reminding me.
it's
We're done.
okay. There is one more question, but I don't know if we
Yes.
should go with. Okay.
Let's go for it.
Hi, Johan. This is Jawad. And my question was that as we use Cursor, our code bases grow so rapidly that we have to create our workflows to understand the growth of those code bases. And they grow so rapidly that what do you suggest? How do we manage the growth of the code bases? How do we understand the code bases, the structure, and things like that? I have attached a lot of MCPs to manage that. I use static analysis, code flow, user flows, and things like that. But how do you suggest that we manage ever expanding code bases with Cursor?
That's a great question, and it's a question that has two answers. First, what we can do right now, no, three parts. What we can read right now, what's going to what we can do in the future, right? And how to use new features. So in terms of what we can do right now, I think the best way to handle large code bases is on the one hand we have the rules, right? So the rules should be like an easy way for the AI to understand your code base, right? And I think that's one of the best solution we had so far for that problem for large code bases. The other one is that and that's the third point I want to talk about. And that right now we released a new feature which is called memories, which is a way for the AI to have easier access to you know the whole code base and your conversations, right? Memories around the product itself that you're using, the workspace, let's say, right? So that's another good way to handle code bases, right? And we have this is a huge issue, the thing about large code bases, because NVIDIA is it's asking for it. I don't know, like Adobe. There is lots of these huge companies that have large code bases, or Blender, for example, and the best way you can manage right now is with memories. Memory was released, I think, either yesterday or the day before that, so it's very new. I encourage you to look into that. That may help you in your large code base. So that's the first, the first and the third point. The second point I want to talk about is what I was talking about the infrastructure of AI. Right now, it's very limited, right? It can't handle large code bases, like that's like it can handle all at once. I mean, large code bases, right? So right now, if you have a large code base and need to work on it, it's going to take some time for the AI to get a grasp of what you're talking about. So as AI and the infrastructure evolves, I think it's going to be much more easier to handle large code bases.
Thank you, Johan. Thank you so much for answering the question.
Thank you so much for the super insightful Q&A, Juan. We really appreciate it. The Cursor Pakistan community really appreciates it. And hopefully we'll get to meet again soon sometime.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for the invitation and thanks for the questions.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Round of
Take care,
applause,
guys.
everyone. Thank you. Okay, I'd like to thank everyone for really contributing to the Q&A. काफी अच्छे सवाल पूछे, काफी intriguing सवाल पूछे, and I am glad it turned out well. Asha, can you click on the screen once? हाँ, सही. ठीक है. तो interactive Q&A का भी time आप लोग का, और ये भी हो गया. चलो अब आप लोग के कर्सर इवेंट का सबसे फेवरेट चीज, सबसे मजेदार चीज आने लगी है, जो कि खाना पीना और नेटवर्किंग. तो I'd love for each and every one of you to make a valuable connection. ऑडियंस में ऐसे ऐसे क्या बोलूँ मैं, आई गेस स्लीपर बिल्ड ये छुपे रुस्तम लोग बैठे हुए, like some of the most mind-blowing stuff I've seen made by people. You should really connect with them, learn from them, collaborate with them, अपने project share करें. There's cursor.show as well. मैंने अपनी खुद website बनाई है. It's the way how I got into the ambassador program as well. I got added into their Slack, made all these wonderful friends. वहाँ पे show off what you made with cursor, अपनी submission submit करें. साथ में build the Pakistani cursor community, put it on the map, and that's about it. Thank you so much, everyone, for being part of this extremely wonderful evening. बहुत शदीद मुझे आप लोग के साथ मजा आया आप लोग को host करके, and it was really an amazing experience. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Inshallah मिलते रहेंगे. A lot more events are coming up, and casual coffee meets जहाँ पे हम लोग बैठ के चीजें कोड कर सकते हैं. You can learn stuff from me. There's a lot more stuff. और क्या, like hackathons आने लगे हैं. And Ashir, if you can reload the slides, मैंने ना यहाँ पे QR codes डाले end पे. Realization आई मुझे खुद ही कि yes, we are like cursor तो हमें बहुत provide कर दे रहा है. Provide us this venue. आप लोग के लिए मजे का खाना भी खिला रहे हैं अभी आप लोग को. सब चीज हो रहा है. They're giving us a lot. But what are we giving to cursor? I'd like जो सबसे यहाँ पे सबसे ज्यादा, if you're familiar with the term cracked software engineers बैठे हैं ना, let's make our own open source community of Cursor Pakistan, जो कि it will truly put us on the map कि अच्छा पाकिस्तानी developers ने ये Cursor के साथ बनाया है. And this is how they are comparing with other countries and other किस तरह से पाकिस्तान map पे आ रहा है. I'd really love it. People who are interested इसको जरूर scan करें. People who are interested to join Islamabad के meetups regularly आते रहेंगे. उनके लिए एक hidden group बनाए Islamabad meetups का. And people who have not joined the Cursor Pakistan community, जो कि पूरी की पूरी पाकिस्तानी community है, I would love for you to join there as well. Once again, thank you so much, everyone. Inshallah, milte rahenge. You've been a lovely audience, and I cannot wait to see what everyone here achieves.